Have you ever felt like, even though you went through things in the past, right? You acknowledge that you went through hard times in the past, maybe childhood trauma, maybe toxic, abusive relationships, but you want to leave that in the past, right? And you just want to move forward. You just want to live in the moment and have the best life that you possibly can despite your past. But as much as you want that, and as much as you try to make that your reality, have you ever felt like the past won't let you? Almost like the memories that happened keep coming up and pulling you back into the past. Now, it's one thing if those memories would come up and you could look at them and notice them, kind of like you do when you're talking about a movie. You can talk about what happened, you can acknowledge what happened, you can see it without all of this emotional pain coming up. But that's not what happens, right? The movie from the past or the memories from the past come up and they have the power to re-traumatize you, to bring you right back to that place where you were hurt. And so what I mean by re-traumatization is that when those memories come up, they don't just come up logically. They come up with the same emotions that occurred when the traumatic events happened. So if your past memories were accompanied by a lot of fear, a lot of anger, pain, guilt, shame, when you remember them and these memories come up, they bring those emotions with them. And so you feel those same emotions with that memory as if it just happened again. And as if that's not bad enough, not only do you feel those emotions, but they bring the trauma with them. And by trauma, remember, trauma isn't so much what happened to you as much as it is what you were or what you began to believe about yourself as a result of the trauma. So the painful beliefs that were created and instilled in you because of the trauma. So there's the memory. There's the intense emotions that do not feel comfortable in the body. And then along with them is the trauma, which are the beliefs like, I'm bad, I'm worthless, I don't matter, I hate myself, others are better, I'm such a failure, there's something wrong with me, I'm a mess, I'm a disaster. If people knew the real me, they would hate me, they would reject me. Okay, so that's re-traumatization. And when those beliefs, which are subconscious programs, when they get kicked on in the body, then our inner critic has a field day with insulting us and just really kind of kicking us when we're down. So when we look at it that way, right, we can see how painful memories of the past can still be. And sometimes, no matter how many years or decades have gone by. Does that mean, though, that we have to stay victims of the past and that we have to continue to be re-traumatized by the past? No. So what I want to share with you today is, while we can't change the past, right? We don't have a time machine. We can't go back and do things differently as much as we would want to. But what we can do is we can separate the memory from all of the emotions, inner dialogue, and trauma beliefs. And when we do that, we don't have to have one of those little things like Men in Black where they kind of zap you and boom, you don't remember anything. No, we will still have those memories, but the charge will be gone. So this is something that I shared in the course that I put together called Self-Parenting the Inner Wounded Child, which, by the way, if you're interested in that course, it is in the description box below. But I shared that course in the Thriver School of Transformation. This is a piece of what I shared in that course. So the reason why we can say that we can separate the memories from everything that it's attached to is thanks to neuroplasticity. Thanks to psychologists and neuroscientists, they've helped us to understand that our memories are malleable. There was a psychologist by the name of Elizabeth Loftus who conducted a study called Lost in the Mall. The participants from the study were told 4 memories from their childhood. 3 of the memories were true and 1 was false. And the false memory was the fact that they were lost in the mall. Okay, that never happened. But they were told this memory along with the other true memories, and their family members described this memory in detail. So what the psychologist learned was that later on, when they were asked to remember that experience about being lost in the mall, the participants actually believed it and actually described what it felt like, their feelings. And even with time, some of the made up mall memories actually became stronger. With time, they were drawn more into these implanted memories weeks after they had first been told about the story. Let's talk about another study that was done in 2015, where certain psychologists and neuroscientists determined that renegotiating negative memories when they came up could significantly lower the stress reactivity for that memory. And how they determined that was before they interrupted the memory, they would measure the amygdala and sweat production. And when the person was remembering, right, that incident, it brought up with it everything I described, the memories, the beliefs, the inner dialogue, all associated with it. And the person's amygdala activity would increase a lot. When they interrupted that memory and then they recalled it after, the sweat production and amygdala activity decreased. So just to sum it up, just like a person can get implanted memories, right? Not that we want to do that, but just showing how the brain can be malleable, how our memories can be malleable. We can also take the memories that are there, and by interrupting them in certain ways, we can separate the reactivity that we feel with that memory. Before I learned how to do this, I would have certain memories that would come up. And it was almost like my brain would follow this pathway that would cause me to feel all those emotions again, all those beliefs, the inner dialogue again, which would then think about more about that memory. And I was in what's known as a limbic system trauma loop, swinging in a circle between all those things: the memory, the beliefs, the feelings, the inner dialogue, the negativity. And it was like being stuck in a rut. If you've ever driven your car either in mud or in snow, where the only tracks are your tire tracks, and you try to come out of that rut, it's really hard. You're trying to come out and the wheel is pushing you back in. When we're in those trauma loops, due to the memories that are re-traumatizing, it's hard to come out of. But when we learn how to reframe the past, how to interrupt and reframe the past, we can start carving a new pathway for our brain to go down. And that's what my next video is going to be about. It's going to be the reframing exercise that is a part of the course, Self-Parenting the Wounded Inner Child. So if you're not already subscribed, you're going to want to do that. Hit the bell icon so that you're notified when that's up. And again, if you want the whole course, you can find it in the Thriver School of Transformation.